Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Spirituality for Badass Babes. And today I have this badass babe, Tiffany Jade, with me. Tiffany is a soul alignment coach, an intuitive coach, a guide, a facilitator of healing. She helps women find their healing from within, shutting off layers and shutting off social conditioning. Welcome, Tiffany. How are you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you. So, my first question, as I always ask everyone, what makes you a spiritual badass?
Ooh, that's like a loaded question. I basically I help women just really unplug from the 3D matrix. Whatever stage they're at, but just to really come home to their true spiritual self, their soul, their essence, and just unplug from those external conditionings and programs and all of that stuff to
All
become
the junk
soft and
that no one
be.
wants.
Yeah, exactly.
Beautiful. And like unplugging from the matrix is something that I'm very passionate about myself. I don't do much work around it, but it's something that I do my own internal work on. And there's just so much like stepping into like who you remembering. It's not even like stepping into, it's remembering who the heck
Yeah.
you are. And I know that's really big on the work that you do is like that inner guidance. So let's chat a little about that. How if someone has no idea how to like connect to their inner selves, connect to their like no one really in my audience is, but just saying if they are, if there's we have new listeners, maybe you never know. If someone has no idea how to just like start listening to their inklings, how do they go about on that journey and on that path?
So I feel it's such a unique process for everyone. So it's just like following those little nudges of curiosity. Like, oh, I'm curious about that book. I feel really drawn to that book. And that is that inner guidance, that inner knowing, but sometimes we think of it as just a longing that, or whatever we might dismiss it as, but to really pay attention to those things, those interests, those curiosities, those for example, I used to work in information technology and did, practice yoga. And I was really curious, what would it be like to be a yoga teacher? That, I'd be terrible at that because I, work with websites and spreadsheets and it's just curious. And I dismissed it for years and years and years until finally it was like it hit me over the head. Life lined up to allow me to pursue that path. I became a stay-at-home mom, and then there was a yoga teacher training that was within my budget to take a chance in case I sucked and it would be okay. And so I followed that path, and that was like the opening of a whole new path of life, a whole new way of being, a whole new me. And but at the beginning, I just thought as like a daydreaming thing. I'm curious, what would that be like? But dismissed it as impossible. So just starting to tune into that and then follow those little nudges of curiosity and see where the path leads.
That's beautiful. So let's share a little bit more about your story because I also left the 9 to 5, the corporate America. I did graphic design and marketing, and most of
Ah,
the audience, they're entrepreneurs or they're looking to start an entrepreneurial journey. So, what was that like for you? Of especially something so different than corporate America, spirituality, yoga, like the unheard of. The
yeah,
unconscious and the conscious
yeah.
for corporate America. So, like, what was that journey like for you?
Oh, it was a little long at first because uh, basically I worked with technology and then I became pregnant with my first child and I really got into practicing yoga and prenatal yoga, and I felt like just something drew me to it. Again, it was just following one of those things. It's like, oh, I'm very type A, da da da. So for the sake of this child, I should do that thing, And I just kept, I felt drawn. I felt so good when I would practice. And long story short, when I became a stay-at-home mom, I left the corporate world, left it all, and kind of lost myself because I had identified with my corporate career, my income, my success, all of that, and that was gone. And then it was the kids, and it was just this kind of exploratory phase of my life. At first, it was kind of felt like something was missing. And then when I went back to yoga after having kids, then I really saw the difference in how I was as a parent, and then went down that path. And just the more I slowly opened up to more spirituality. Like it started with even before that, but like with, the law of attraction world and the manifestation world and all of that. And then started getting deeper and deeper. And it's like, wow, this is a whole new world that I was
Matrix.
completely blind to. Yeah. I had been so plugged into the matrix and had created such a solid, like, box of reality, like with a shield of protection from the unknown or the unsafe or unsecure and all of that, to just feel this artificial sense of safety from the external rather than from within. So just this huge unfolding. I don't know how far we want to go down this, but like, long story short, I ended up, after all of that, went through a dark night of the soul, and
As most spiritual beings do.
yeah, and then it was a whole new layer of, wow, like I was to this point where I was like, oh, I've mastered the law of attraction and I'm manifesting and da 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 da. And then that happened. It was like, oh wow, that was a whole nother matrix, a whole nother veil. And just this continuous, like, uprooting and revealing is the word that's coming for me. I think there's another word that hints at, but it's not coming. But yeah, uncovering there. That feels better. Uncovering, and yeah.
Beautiful. So obviously, like most people have watched The Matrix and know what this so-called Matrix is, but we do actually live in the Matrix. Everything is real and everything is not real at the same time. And I
Yeah.
know that is a big part of what you do. So let's share, what is this Matrix? How can we start unplugging? How can we start recognizing if we're plugged in or we're unplugging from it?
Hmm. It's let's see. I would say you start to see things in a new perspective. And it might be things that you've known intellectually, like you've listened to the podcast, listened to or read the books, and you know these concepts. You know that, say, we create our own reality, or just certain things. And then there's a point where it resonates in your bones, in your body, where you just feel this internal shift of, like, your subconscious mind has accepted it, and it's like a curtain has been raised, and rather than getting it intellectually, it's ingrained, it's embodied, and you can see things in a new light. Like, for example, one thing for me is the whole way that witches are portrayed in fairy tales, for example. And they're evil and they want to eat children and all of that. And I knew that, I noticed that, but it was like, oh, that's that. And then one day it just was like, oh my God, like, that is so deep programming that it just clicked, like, in my body, where I saw the veil lifted, one layer, one veil, and it just, you start to really, it clicks. Does that make sense?
Yes, definitely to me, but I work with the Matrix as well, and I'm constantly up leveling, lifting veils, moving things, shifting things. There's so much. So how does one start working with this? Like, I know this is something that I'm calling for. How do I start paying attention? Like, what are the first things that you tell your clients to do? Like, obviously, first probably start paying attention and question
Yeah.
everything. But what should just like 5 steps, if you can think of 5, I don't know.
Yeah. So that's what's funny is I'm such a, like, I've shifted completely from the systematic step by step thing, and now I'm more like intuitive and tap into each person. So, like, it's hard to create a 5-step process. But I would say start with meditating. Even if it's even if it's just 2 minutes a day, start there. Start where you can. It will expand, but just create that regular practice. Start the morning with connecting to your whatever resonates for you, connecting to your soul, your higher self, your spirit guides, connecting to whatever the universe, whatever works, whatever resonates for you. And like I call all of myself home to my heart, and I hereby ask my spirit guides to surround me and give you permission to work with me today, that sort of thing, just whatever flows, to connect with source. Because if you don't do that, then you're going to plug into the matrix. And so just that one little step in the morning, and plus the meditation. Meditation ideally first thing in the morning or last thing in the evening, but whenever you will do it, for sure. Just it can evolve. I know I used to be such an all or nothing, do it right, do it perfect. I have to carve out 30 minutes or I'm not, and then you end up not doing it, and then it just falls through. So just start somewhere. So start the day with connecting to source, meditate daily. Let's see. Then I would say to just follow your interests in terms of podcasts, books, audiobooks, mentors, and just connect yourself more to people who are unplugged or unplugging, or at any point in that, like, maybe a step ahead of you in that unplugging journey, or sometimes we're, equal power but different. So we could be further along in one area, but not as far along in another. So just trusting that someone will fill that gap. Let's see. And connect to your body. Whether that's through a movement practice, it could be through yoga, it could be through running or fitness, but just starting to create that mind-body connection, and you start to notice the subtleties in your body. And then we can start to slowly connect to the feedback that our body gives us. Our body will tell us when something isn't right for us. When, we can, rather than creating answers from the mind, our body can give us the answers that comes from our soul or higher self. Or so starting to create that connection. And healing, whether that's through breath work or journaling and exploring inner child healing, working with a healer, coach, mentor, sister circles where we connect. That really helps with the sister wound, because we have been conditioned to see each other as competition, to catfight. So to start to break down those walls and allow ourselves to be vulnerable and authentic, and allow our imperfections, so-called, I'm using air quotes, to come through as we connect with other women, and in a safe space where that is held, is really, really powerful. So some form of healing, it's a lifelong journey, but there we go. I did 5.
Well, perfect. All of it is so important. Like, I always start my mornings off. The first thing that I do is connect to myself, connect to higher power, connect to spirits. Like that's a non-negotiable for me, for sure. So I recently had a guest talking about the mother wound, like the divine feminine, the mother wound, how the mother wound is connected to money. Like, it's connected to how we view money, how we receive money, how we manifest money as well. Let's chat more about the sister wound, though. What is that connected to, and how do we go about healing it? And most women have a sister wound because it goes into some deep conditioning that we've had forever. Like you were saying, the whole catfighting, the comparinitis, the I'm better than you, you're better than me, like who am I, like all of these things. But let's chat a little bit about that sister wound.
Yeah, I mean, if you think back to the witch hunt days where women, women's intuition used to be really valued and respected. And according the book Witch, it's like Unleashed, Untamed. I can never think of the third word, but it's by Lisa Lister, and she gives some of the history, and like when men were going through medical school, then they had to disempower women in their intuition, and they would create basically, if any woman who was a healer or um, an oracle or anything like that was deemed a witch. And so then the witch hunts, and then you were killed for doing that. And women would be turned against their own sisters and mothers for them to be killed as witches to save themselves. So we were turned against each other, even as sisters, as parent child, as friends. And that is like the root of seeing each other as, let me protect myself and throw you under the bus. And then we didn't feel safe with each other, and just it goes all from there. And so if you think back to like middle school days, when it's like, I remember I got like made fun of for my socks because I didn't have the name brand of the socks that were $10 for a pair of socks. And I had like the imitation brand. Like, how silly is that? But
Happens to
at
me all
that
the time.
exactly. And at that age, it's so important. And then you feel like less than, and or just all of the things. Just think of your own experience in, middle school, elementary, high school, whatever age that was, and all of those experiences
It's so
where,
mean.
yeah, absolutely.
So mean.
And we carry that with us. That stays in our bodies. Like when there are incidents, experiences that we have, and we haven't been taught the emotional intelligence to allow the emotions of the experience to move through us, to allow ourselves to feel the pain of it, feel the hurt of it, but not stick it in our body. We trap it down because we think, okay, I have to be strong. I have to be a big girl. I can't let them see me cry. And so it stays in our body. It gets trapped there. And so then those experiences are held there. And then as we grow up, something triggers that experience, and we go back to that. So then it's like I'm reacting from a 12-year-old's emotional intelligence level. And then, we have like some friends, like it doesn't call you when she says she will, or backs out on plans or whatever, and then it triggers an experience from childhood, and then we literally go back to that level of emotional development, and then we react and respond from that place, unless we've done the healing and growing to heal that and move past that. So, and the best way to heal something is to feel the trigger of it. Like triggers come up because they're information for where we have healing to do. So if you place yourself in a sister circle or an experience where those triggers might come up, and they will, and if you can start to see it as a healing opportunity rather than a reason that something's wrong, a reason that you don't belong, like we'll feel like we don't belong, or they're going to judge me because I'm not like them, or because I don't make enough money, or I make too much money, or whatever the thing is. Like we have all of the stories. So putting ourselves in those experiences and to allow the feelings to come up, but instead of shoving them down, let them come up, move through, and heal through it. And then it creates, shedding those layers and healing and coming back home, so that we can respond from our current level, our current age, and move ahead in our emotional intelligence and healing.
Yeah, it's also really important for us to, a lot of the times those triggers comes up, this is where we needed to like tap into that inner child healing or that shadow work healing, even because a lot of those traumas that need to be healed, those triggers that come up for you, that's your little inner child screaming like, hey, help me, like surrender, like give me a little hug, like love me. Like even when we're doing shadow work, like the big part of shadow work is traumas and fears that came up from you being a child. Like that's when most of them happen, because we were programmed, we were conditioned as children, as like while we were growing, to have these dark like moments. And also like breath work was coming up for me while you were speaking. Like breath work is so good to move that energy. We heal energy with energy a lot. So like sitting in breath work, and I know you're also a breath work facilitator. So do you have any like breathwork practices that they can work on? I know like half of them are listening to audio, some of them are watching videos, or something that we can chat about, both audio and video, of a little simple breathwork exercise that they can tune into their souls, themselves, but also like move some of that energy within themselves as well.
Yeah, so there's the more pranayama style of breath work where you can get in tune with your breath. And I can give an example of that. And then there's the emotional release breath work where gets you into a meditative state and allows the bridge between the conscious and subconscious mind, so that the subconscious mind can help move the energy that is stuck and release it. So that would be more of a 3-part breath. And so you'll breathe in and out through your mouth, belly, chest, exhale. And then just keep doing that. And like I lead a virtual breathwork session for every full moon and new moon, with guided with music and connecting with that. So that is an option that's available. And or you can just put on your own music if you're familiar with the practice, and just breathe, belly, chest, exhale. And it can take a little bit to allow the mind to settle and allow the subconscious mind to take over and just move through it. And that energy movement can lead to crying. It can lead to changes in temperature. There's so many different ways that the energy clears through. And then if you desire a practice to just connect to your body, it can be a form of meditation. You can do a 3-part breath, for example. Breathe 1/3 into your belly, in and out through your nose, 1/3 into your belly, 1/3 into your ribs, 1/3 into your chest, like you're filling up a pitcher. Then exhale, 1/3 chest, 1/3 ribs, 1/3 belly. So inhale, belly, ribs, chest. Exhale, chest, ribs, belly. Inhale, belly, ribs, chest. Exhale, chest, ribs, belly. And you can smooth it out. You can lengthen the inhales and exhales if that feels comfortable for you. But if it takes you into a place where it feels stressful, then just breathe into the belly, because we don't want it to be stressful. The point of that is to calm the nervous system. And if you're feeling solid with that, you can also add a top hold or a bottom hold at the end of the inhale, at the end of the exhale, one or both. You can pause, have a little pause in holding your breath, and then continue. So yeah.
And what are some of like, other than the restoring, re-energizing, like reprogramming your entire nervous system, essentially, what are some other benefits of breath work, in case no one's familiar with it?
Well, it can, so if you're familiar with plant medicine, it helps.
Which everyone is, because I talk about my plant medicine stories all the time.
So the breath work, the emotional release form of breath work, can act as a, I say milder. I would say milder than plant medicine, but similar experience, where you never know how your experience is going to be, but it's going to be the experience that is in your highest good. It could be below your conscious level of awareness, or it could be really dramatic and really consciously life altering. Whether it's just a big epiphany that you have in your mind, like once I saw that I was kind of like on the edge of a cliff, metaphorically, and scared because I was seeing such a parallel between my life and my mom's, and the direction she went with that terrified me, that I didn't want to end up going in that direction. And so I was like trembling at the edge of the cliff, scared to leap off. And that was like a big insight for me. But sometimes it's just moving the energy, whether that's, some plant medicine, you vomit it out, or other physical ways. I've never heard of anyone vomiting from breath work, but it'd be more tears. I suppose anything's possible, but it's usually more tears or temperature changing, or you might feel like you can, if you're tense, if you're in tune with your body and energy, then you sometimes just feel the energy moving through, and it helps clear those blockages with whatever is in your highest alignment in that moment. And so it's just trusting the subconscious mind, trusting spirit that whatever experience is meant for you is the experience that you will have.
That is beautiful. I'm a big proponent of breath work. Like I do holotropic breath work often, amongst others as well. And it's so beautiful. Yeah. For that release, to connect to your body, to connect to your soul. Like, even if you're having like dealing with a struggle in life and business, whatever, if you have like two choices to make, like sit in breath work, sit in that meditation, and like your higher power, your higher self will give you the answers, but you need to do that inner work. And sometimes we all forget, like, that's the inner work that we need to do in order to get to that next step in our lives and businesses and anything else that we're doing. So thank you so much, Tiffany. That was absolutely beautiful. Do you have any final tips, tricks, anything for the audience?
With what you just shared, what came up for me, and maybe you've spoken about this too, but so often we tie our worth and value to productivity and doing. And so it can be hard to take that time to meditate, to do breath work, to fill our cup, to nourish ourselves. And we can get caught up in the river of life, the flow, the currents, that's the word, the currents of life, and it just like pushes us down. And then so we can, if we can take that time to pause, reconnect, really it creates so much more ease and flow, and then we start to magnetize things, experiences or opportunities. We also get more clarity. So we can also have a tendency to seek answers outside of ourselves, but we can find all of those answers from within. So really, wherever you can start for any of these practices, whatever feels the most, ooh, I should try that, follow that. Start with whatever you can carve in. Create a commitment. I will do this every day, whether it's for 2 minutes, 10 minutes, and then just grow from there. Let it expand from there, but just start somewhere with that commitment.
That's so good. I literally just had this conversation with someone today on a coaching call. She was asking me, she's like, how do you I'm so stuck with doing. Like, how do you carve out time for yourself to actually be? I was like, simple. You just answered your own question. You just carve out time for yourself and just be. Like, I make it a priority every single day. Like, the first thing when I wake up, I love my mornings. Like, I'll meditate, I'll journal, or I'll do like these beautiful morning practices. I don't touch social media. I don't touch my emails until 9:00 in the morning. I actually child lock my phone. Because I'm a child. I child lock my phone to like turn off at 7 p.m. and it doesn't turn on until 9 p.m. because otherwise I'll be scrolling through social media and doing things that I shouldn't be doing, where I have so many other things to better things to do with my time. And same thing at night, like decompression, like you come first. At the end of the day, you come first, and whatever that is, whether that's meditating, reading, taking a bath, whatever, do something that's going to fill your cup because you come first.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Tiffany. Where can people find you? Where can they follow you? Where can they get to know you and do some yoga, breathwork sessions, and all the beautiful things that you offered into this world?
Yeah. My website is tiffanyjade.com, Jade, like the stone. And I am on Facebook and Instagram at Priestess Tiffany Jade. And everything is on those. I'm also on Eventbrite. The link, I don't know if you can find me by searching, but any events that I offer, whether it's the virtual breathwork or I have an in-person day retreat in Sonoma County next month. So that for all of those things are on Eventbrite. So it's linked through my Instagram and my website. So you can follow my Eventbrite profile to be notified of any events that are available.
Perfect. And everything will be linked in the show notes as well. Awesome. Thank you so much, Tiffany. That was beautiful and very inspiring and just touched my soul for sure.
Awesome. Thank you.
Get your free 10K abundance activation today. This is a 2-part activation where we will first release subconscious money blocks from your energetic field to be able to receive abundance coming your way. Then you will sit in meditation and activate the energetics of consistent 10K months. To download this 10K activation, go to aniahalama.com/10K-activation.